Hello everybody and welcome to Chop and Brew. I am Chip Walton. Coincidentally, I'm drinking out of my coffee mug that I bought a couple of months ago on a trip to Cleveland, Ohio from the Christmas Story House and Museum, the actual house where the family lived and they shot scenes in. You used up all the glue on purpose. And that in a very strange way has something to do with this episode. This episode is about the Cleveland Holiday Ale, or what style purists could potentially launch in the near future as the Northeast Ohio style holiday ale. This video started as a very quick attempt to taste two beers and kind of talk about this style under 10 minutes, as you'll see at Dono's house, but I ended up getting some elaboration information that I felt was important to pass along. So you're about to see a pretty quick lightning round type tasting note video, but I'm going to interject twice throughout to shed some light and some information that I gathered from two brewers mentioned during the course of the video. Sit back, enjoy the beers of Cleveland through the power of video. If you're from the Cleveland area, and as you watch this, if you have any opinions of this as a style, quote unquote, or just your experiences and opinions of the beers that we taste and other ones that you want to suggest, and if you've got any homebrew kind of tips for doing these kind of beers, we welcome those at the comment section wherever Chop and Brew social media and video are found. Support the show. We really appreciate it. This is one of the last winter ones before we move into spring episodes, but we had this video and I wanted to get it out there. So until the first time you see me interject within this episode from the kitchen location, chop for chop, brew for brew. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Chop and Brew. I am joined by
Dono,
Mike D,
and we are in
Dono,
kitchen, dining room. We're at Dono's house. I just want to do a super quick video. We're literally on a timer here. We have 10 minutes and 40 seconds to do this because of the space on this card. I want to tell you all about a trip I took last month that involved a very cool revelation about a beer style, and I have the last examples of a couple beers that I wanted to share with my homies. So we're drinking
Gracias.
Great Lakes Brewing Company's Christmas Ale and Portside Distillery and Brewery's Ice Cutter Winter Warmer. Our friend Vaughn, Stewart, who was in like the 311 Day episode for a second, is the head brewer there, doing good things. I don't know anybody that works here. So let's taste a little bit of the Great Lakes while I tell the story.
I think this beer is completely as advertised as far as what they say that it's in there. Honey, cinnamon, ginger. I think you can get all three of those pretty easily and pleasantly, and it's very delicious.
not overpowering, super drinkable. You said it was 7.5%?
7.5.
Yeah, it doesn't drink like it. It's just almost crushable in the parlance of our time. But yeah, those seasonings are apparent, but harmonious and not overstated. It's a really nice beer.
So let's talk real quick. I'm going to rewind a month. My wife and I went to Cleveland to go see the Christmas Story house before Christmas and to visit Vaughn and his wife Gwen. And then we got involved in, as we always do, a lot of beer stops, breweries, tap rooms. And I had always known about Christmas ale, but what became apparent through every stop through Cleveland is there appears to be this named, unnamed style, and I might be speaking out of turn, but kind of the Cleveland Holiday Ale. Everybody in town has one. And I know everybody does a winter warmer or some kind of something at holiday, but everybody there definitely had one. They kind of attribute it back to Great Lakes as being like the OG. They're 7.5%, they're 30 IBUs. Those, and they've got some kind of spice. And I think that's really awesome to have this like box, but it's still not a box. But everywhere you went, so 7.5, 30 IBUs. So Great Lakes, as they just pointed out, is they throw cinnamon, ginger, and local honey. I drink a lot of this. I actually found an ice cream made with this and ginger snaps, which was the single coolest thing we had while we were there, drinking them side by side. And then that ginger obviously has like 2 layers kind of going on. When you search the forums for Great Lakes Brewing, you find 2-row, C40, wheat, special roast barley, Cascade, Hallertau. So this is kind of like the epitome, but then we would go to Market Garden Brewery or Nano Brew, and they had a beer called Festivus. Once again, 7.5, 30 IBUs, but a lighter in color. It was a little more crisp, golden, and more spicy than this one in my mind. So those two are kind of, I wouldn't say they're related, but they're in that kind of spice field. So here's the first break in our episode for a little bit more information. I got in touch with the brewmaster at Market Garden Brewery and their sister restaurant brewery Nano Brew. His name is Andy Tveekrem. Not only is Andy currently the brewmaster Market Garden and Nano, he started his career at Great Lakes. He was also the brewmaster at Dogfish Head. So this is a guy that obviously knows his chops in brewing, and he obviously kind of knows about working with spices and kind of eccentric ingredients. Andy says about Festivus, it's been brewed at the pub since 2011. It's their best-selling seasonal beer. The recipe is actually based on a Scotch ale, mostly pale malt, 10% Munich, and they caramelize the wort through extended boiling, which creates the darker color, very smooth malt character. We add some brown sugar into the boil for added flavor and to boost the extract. We also use hop addition of Simcoe to provide the bitterness, and they target 25 IBU, so in that 30 range. The main flavor and aroma elements of the beer come from spices. They add them at the end of the boil. Ginger, cinnamon, allspice, some chopped vanilla bean. They strive for balance in the spiciness so they don't end up with neither a cinnamon nor a ginger spice bomb. Fermentation is with American ale yeast. Final ABV is 7.5 to 8. What I like a lot about what he kind of follows up with here, and this kind of solidifies this idea of the style, quote unquote, or at least regionally celebrated. There is certainly some commonality in brewing Christmas or holiday beers around here due to the pioneering efforts of Great Lakes Christmas Ale, which uses ginger, cinnamon, honey. It would be correct to say that Northeast Ohio style holiday ale is a legitimate beer style, with typical formulations involving spices, especially ginger and cinnamon, 7.5% to 8.5% ABV, color ranging from deep gold to red, fermentation done with English or American ale yeast. So big props to Andy for shedding a little bit of light on this, for helping us kind of see the box that these beers kind of live in and also bust out of from time to time. Now back to Dano's house.
This is like a Christmas cookie. Like
It's exactly.
gingerbread, ginger snap kind of thing.
Great
Molasses cookie, yeah. Were the other examples you mentioned, the Market Garden and Nano Brew, were those kind of similar?
Yeah, there were a little, because there wasn't, I feel like there wasn't as much sea malt even in there. So it was even more gold and clean, so the spices were even a little more like, whoa, because there wasn't that little bit of roast to kind of emulate like maybe a cookie crust.
Mm-hmm.
I drank that one night with dinner and I was like, whoa, like spice bomb in a good way.
This one really, the Great Lakes really has a strong cinnamon aroma, and I see that you have down here cinnamon stick.
That's in the homebrew example. I don't know if they
Oh,
do
I
sticks,
see.
if they do cinnamon.
Yeah, I don't know how you would achieve that, but it definitely is a nice, strong aroma.
So they use honey. The Nano / Market Garden one used brown sugar, nutmeg, ginger. So again, it's kind of all this like theme, like some kind of spice.
Some kind of sugar.
Yeah, and then 7.5 and 30. Those are your magic numbers. So let's go on to Vaughn. So Portside has a winter warmer called Ice Cutter. They're up there on Lake Erie, so they like their lake references much like we do up in Lake Superior.
This says low-level exotic spices.
Yeah.
Or a low level of exotic
Yeah.
spice. So I don't know what that means.
And I'm horrible for not remembering what he
Rich
told me
malt,
is in it.
jammy plums.
He put plums. That's kind of the game changer a little bit to this one.
He didn't put actual plums, right? It's
I
just
can't remember if it was...
descriptor.
No. There's
Your
plum.
favorite transformer?
It's plum. I can't remember if it's puree or whole fruit, but no, it's a hearty copper ale brewed with plum and Christmas spices.
Okay.
And you get it, and it's kind of nice. It's like...
Jammy
like,
plums.
It's almost like port light. Like a mini...
There is that
port.
Yeah,
jam.
there's
like a
like
sweet jamminess.
brandy or port kind of
Yeah.
fermented fruit flavor to it. That's a really pleasant underpinning to the maltiness and the kind of low key spice.
Yeah.
In this.
I wonder what
this
the
is
spices are.
really
Exotic
nice.
spice that makes it think that it's.
It might be some kind of different cinnamon, like a
garam
Vietnamese-
masala or something.
No, I don't
But
think it's quite
not.
curry.
But
God, I will post it underneath if Vaughn gets in touch with me. I don't remember what he said, and then I asked him to email me today. And
Welcome to Breakaway number 2, featuring Vaughn Stewart, our good friend who is the Director of Brewing and Distilling Operations at Portside Distillery. Vaughn is an old homeboy from Northern Brewer days and also worked at Arcadia Ales in Kalamazoo prior to being at Portside in Cleveland. He gave me a short version, and he gave me a very long, full detailed version where he lays out everything from tips on the mashing, hops, water considerations, how to use spices, fermentation, and a lot about the plum puree that he uses and when. The short version is that the beer consists of pale malt, Munich, English dark crystal, English amber, melanoidin, and chocolate malt. And I'm going to put the long version of this story, and within it is basically the recipe on Chop and Brew's website, so you can see what brands he prefers and stuff like that. But he goes into the water again, the mash, and then he goes into the spices, and he's talking about nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, all powders, all from Penzies. Woo! Go Penzies. And one thing he says about spices in general when you're using them, and he kind of echoes what Chef Xander Dixon said in the Juicy Lucy episode, is, preferably buy them whole and ground them yourself. But if you're not, get them fresh. Do not use spices that have been sitting on your hot stovetop for a year. Basically, Vaughn says, throw them out if they don't knock you out with aroma when you open the bag. So then he goes into fermentation, and he talks about the plum puree. It works out to be about a pound for a 5-gallon batch at home if you were to brew this. So he talks about the brand that he uses and where you can most likely find it. Between the malt and the spices and the plum, Vaughn says their idea was to kind of go for an Eastern European influence, although he admits that it does bear a similarity to an English plum pudding. He also thinks that cranberry would be another fruit that would play really well with these flavors. So if you give Ice Cutter a try, maybe split it and see what happens with cran in one and plum in the other. Big props to Vaughn for being so open with his brew information, his brew day stats information. If you want to brew your own Ice Cutter winter warmer, please do check out chopandbrew.com/recipes. And even if you don't necessarily want to brew that beer, I think reading just his thoughts on brewing with spices and to see kind of how on a pro scale that he kind of doles that out is definitely worth a read. So check that out, and let's get back to Don O's for Act 3.
But the point is, he took kind of a theme, took it back to this winter warmer, a little more solidified style, and then kind of played in there. But again, 7.5%, 30 IBUs.
How's the time doing?
How's the time going?
Yeah, what's going?
Don wants to know. I don't know.
I don't know. It's
So
your video. I might run out of card. I'm sorry.
4 minutes. So
We are super efficient on this one, guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So Vaughn had this, and then the other one, we had a couple more. The main one I remember was Fathead's Holly Jolly Christmas Ale. Really good. Once again, how many percent alcohol?
7.5.
How many IBUs?
30.
They had local Ohio honey, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, coriander. It was really awesome. More of a red beer. These two are both kind of that similar bronzy.
Ambery.
Festivus was a little more gold, and then Holly Jolly was red. Just awesome. Mount Hood and Crystal in the Fatheads with a German ale. I believe Festivus was, I can't remember what yeast that was. It might have been pretty clean. Christmas ale is a London ale yeast, apparently. So
It'll be interesting to hear what spice is in the Portside. Is that what it's called? Because there's something that's a little different. I can't put my finger on what it is.
could it be
but
nutmeg, allspice?
It could be.
clove?
Yeah, it could be.
It was just a cool thing. We drank plenty of other IPAs and stouts and all kind of stuff, but everywhere we went, because it was right before Christmas, everybody was just like in a really festive mood. Everybody was highlighting these beers. It was just funny to me. I've never seen anything so like, it was almost kind of like Iron Chef, where they're like 7.5 ABV, 30 IBUs, at least one spice, go. And Cleveland was like, let's do it. So it was a good time. It was a perfect.
I think
weekend.
anybody in the Cleveland area or familiar with these beers should comment if they've noticed a affinity for the winter warmer spice beers in that area.
Did I get psyched out? Did I?
Is this all in your head?
Did
man?
I misinterpret a weekend in Cleveland?
Is there like 2 spiced beers in Cleveland or like 3? And
No, 4. And
found
that
them
was
all.
it.
Okay, 4. Touche. You found them all and focused in.
So, Great Lakes, their clone is all over the internet. Just Google that if you really want. I could post some links maybe underneath the video or in a wrap up. If Vaughn is nice enough to give us a little more detail or even the straight up recipe, I'll include that. But I would definitely suggest Cleveland. We did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Crystal Story House. There's a bunch of breweries.
Major awards.
It's a good food town. We went and walked along icy Lake Erie, which is the shallowest of the Great Lakes. Yeah, man. So yeah,
Trivia.
I'm glad
Trivia
that
alert.
I was able to share these before.
Yeah,
I drank them all.
Thanks.
Do you want to do your catchphrase? Catchphrase it up.
Chop for chop. Brew for
Brew for brew.
30 IBU.
7.5.
One last check-in from the kitchen here to wrap up the episode. I, for one, would be personally very happy to see the Northeast Ohio style holiday ale make its way into the style guidelines, or at least the style canon for American brewers. I had a great time exploring the beers as a spiceophile myself as a brewer. I just thought it was really cool to see the different things going on. So if you live in Cleveland, or if you've ever experienced one of these beers, or if you make an awesome homebrew of your own around the holiday seasons, please share that with us. Obviously we've passed the holidays for the 2016-17 season, but before you know it, it'll be time to brew those holiday ales again, and some of them might take a little time to sit and become mellow and perfect. So let's share those recipes. Let's get a jump start on holiday brewing. Can't believe I'm saying that. It's like February. Big shout out to Andy. Big shout out to Vaughn. Thanks to all the pro brewers that are always so super cool and open and helpful for the home brewers and home brewing. Let me know if you think Northeast Ohio style ale should even be a category. Are we just basically talking about winter warmers, with the spice rack dumped in? I don't think so personally, but let's hear what you got to say. Let's start a controversy. Let's make this the new Black IPA Cascadian Dark Ale. So until holiday season 2017, when we all got to get our crunk on with some spicy jam beers, chop for chop, brew for brew. Go visit Cleveland. I'm in the kitchen. 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 Hi!
And allspice would be a kind of catch-all too, because isn't there like 5 things in allspice?
You got me.
I might be tripping. Maybe allspice is an individual thing.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I'm thinking of Chinese 5
This-
spice, which is 5 spices. Sorry. Cut it out.
It was so poisoning. Oh, fudge.